Not drinking alcohol is often treated as something that needs explaining. At social events, it raises questions. In certain cultures, it even creates subtle pressure. While drinking is seen as normal, choosing not to can feel like stepping outside an unspoken rule. But what's interesting is this. People who don't like alcohol are not all the same, yet they often share certain psychological patterns. And those patterns say less about restriction and more about how they process control, stimulation, and social environments. There's a certain kind of person who doesn't feel drawn to alcohol, not because they're avoiding it, but because it simply doesn't appeal to them. They might try it occasionally, understand its role socially, but never develop a consistent attachment. While others associate alcohol with relaxation, confidence, or connection, these individuals don't experience the same psychological pull. And that difference reveals something deeper about how their brain interprets reward and emotional shifts. At its core, alcohol works by altering the brain's inhibitory control. It reduces self-monitoring, lowers anxiety in the short term, and creates a sense of looseness or social ease. For many people, this shift is appealing because it temporarily removes internal friction. But individuals who do not enjoy alcohol often have a different relationship with this change. Instead of experiencing it as relief, they may experience it as a loss of clarity. The reduced control does not feel freeing. It feels unfamiliar, sometimes even uncomfortable. This points to a key psychological trait, a preference for cognitive stability. People who don't like alcohol tend to be more aware of their internal state and more comfortable maintaining it. They are less motivated to alter their mood through external substances because their baseline already feels manageable. This does not mean they never feel stress or discomfort. It means they prefer to process those states directly rather than override them. Another important factor is sensitivity to internal shifts. Alcohol changes perception, coordination, and emotional response. For some individuals, these changes are subtle and enjoyable. For others, they are noticeable in a way that disrupts their sense of control. People who are more attuned to their internal state may feel these shifts more strongly. Instead of blending into the experience, they become aware of it, and that awareness can reduce the appeal. There is also a connection to long-term thinking. Alcohol provides immediate effects, relaxation, social ease, or temporary escape, but it often comes with delayed consequences. Individuals who naturally evaluate both short-term and long-term outcomes may find this trade-off less appealing. The temporary benefit does not outweigh the potential cost, whether that cost is physical discomfort, reduced productivity, or loss of mental clarity the next day. Social dynamics play a significant role as well. In many environments, alcohol functions as a social equalizer. It reduces inhibitions, making interaction easier. But people who do not rely on alcohol often develop alternative ways of navigating social situations. They may be more comfortable with direct communication, or they may simply accept a different social rhythm. Instead of using alcohol to adapt to the environment, they adapt the environment to fit their comfort level. This creates another trait, independence from social pressure. Choosing not to drink in environments where it is expected requires a certain level of internal alignment. These individuals are less likely to adjust their behavior solely to match the group. This does not mean they reject social norms entirely. It means they filter them. They participate where it aligns with their preferences and opt out where it does not. There is also an interesting relationship between alcohol avoidance and emotional processing. Alcohol is often used as a way to soften or escape certain emotional states. People who do not enjoy it are more likely to engage with those states directly. This can lead to stronger emotional awareness over time. Instead of temporarily muting discomfort, they learn to tolerate and understand it. This does not make emotions easier, but it makes them more familiar. Another trait that often appears is a preference for clarity over alteration. Alcohol changes perception and slows cognitive processing. For individuals who value mental sharpness, this effect can feel like a reduction rather than a benefit. They may prefer to remain fully aware, even in situations where others choose to relax their awareness. This preference shapes how they experience both social and personal environments. There is also a sensory component. Alcohol has a distinct taste and physical effect that not everyone finds pleasant. Some individuals have a lower tolerance or a different sensory response, making the experience less enjoyable from the start. When the sensory experience is neutral or negative, there is less incentive to build a habit around it. From a behavioral perspective, the absence of reinforcement plays a key role. Habits are formed when a behavior consistently produces a rewarding outcome. For people who do not like alcohol, this reinforcement loop never fully develops. The experience does not create a strong positive association, so the behavior does not repeat. Over time, this absence of repetition becomes a stable preference. There is also a connection to identity. Choosing not to drink, especially in environments where it is common, becomes part of how individuals see themselves. It reinforces a sense of autonomy. They are not following a default pattern. They are making a conscious choice. This strengthens internal consistency, making the behavior more stoichivary over time. Interestingly, people who do not drink often develop alternative rituals for relaxation and social connection. Instead of relying on alcohol, they find other ways to create those states, through conversation, environment, or personal routines. This adaptability is important. It shows that the absence of one behavior does not limit experience, it reshapes it. However, this pattern is not without challenges. Social environments that revolve around alcohol can create subtle exclusion. Conversations, dynamics, and group behavior often shift as others drink. Individuals who remain sober may feel out of sync at times. This requires a level of awareness and adaptability to navigate without losing their sense of comfort. At the same time, this difference can also create clarity. Without the influence of alcohol, perception remains more consistent. Decisions are made with full awareness. Interactions are experienced without alteration. For some, this leads to a stronger sense of control over their actions and choices. Another important aspect is risk perception. Alcohol reduces inhibition, which can lead to behaviors that would not occur in a fully aware state. Individuals who prefer to avoid alcohol may be more sensitive to this risk. They value predictability in their behavior and are less comfortable with losing that predictability, even temporarily. Over time, this creates a stable behavioral pattern. Not drinking is no longer a decision that requires effort. It becomes the default. The absence of alcohol does not feel like a restriction. It feels normal. This is one of the key differences. For these individuals, not drinking is not something they are resisting. It is something they are not drawn to. Ultimately, people who do not like drinking alcohol are not simply avoiding a substance. They are expressing a different relationship with control, emotion, and social interaction. Their behavior reflects a preference for clarity over alteration, for direct experience over mediated ones, and for internal regulation over external shortcuts. And once you understand that, their choice stops looking like restraint. It starts looking like alignment. Because not all forms of enjoyment come from changing your state. For some people, it comes from staying fully in it.